Hi, my name is Michael, and I'm an alcoholic addict, and I just want to share my story today. The Bible tells us that we are saved through the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony, and it's so important as alcoholics and addicts to remember that our stories matter. God will use our stories for a plan and for His purpose. So I just want to share briefly of like what life was like, what happened, most importantly, what life is like now. Uh, when I started drinking and smoking and doing a bunch of drugs when I was 17 years old. And by the time I was 18, I was heavily addicted to crack and heroin. And at such a young age, that was tough. That was tricky. And what I didn't know was that was the beginning. That wasn't even the worst of it. That was the tip of the iceberg. And over the next 12 years, my life got really, really bad. It looked a lot like going in and out of treatment every single year, going in and out of detox, committing crime so I could fuel my drug addiction. And by the end of it, I lost track. I know I'm in double-digit treatment centers, double-digit detoxes, but the worst part was I was broken on the inside. I had no desire to live. I had no desire to do anything besides find that next drink and drug. It had me wrapped around its finger, and I couldn't shake it no matter what I tried to do, no matter how many times I tried to do it on my own. It didn't work. I needed something. I needed help from outside of myself in order to break this bondage of addiction, and I couldn't do it. So we fast forward to January 2018, and I was homeless, living in my car in Chicago, and it was January, so it was like negative 10 degrees outside. And in that moment, I had to make a decision. Is either I'm going to die in this car or I'm going to do something. So I reached out to somebody I knew, and he said, "Hey man, why don't you try South Florida?" I said, "Sure, why not? Let's go to South Florida. It's 80 degrees right now." And I took a plane that day. And when I got to treatment, they said, "Michael, you have a decision. You can go the traditional route that I've done a million times, or you can go faith-based." So I chose to go the faith-based route. And in that moment, I didn't know how powerful that decision was, but God was using that decision. And in that decision, I got introduced and had a relationship with Christ. That decision allowed me to find a community. They took us to Recovery Church and to Bible studies, and I started building a community of Christ-like followers all around me. And that is what began this transformation process. I got a sponsor through the people that I met at Recovery Church, and they say the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. I didn't know that one decision of moving to Florida, or that one decision of choosing the faith-based track, was going to project me on a track that God had destined for me my entire life. I didn't know that, but those steps were ordered way before I even knew they were possible. God continued to use these small decisions, and Isaiah 55 says, "God's ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts." And God was operating on a different level in my life. I started going to Recovery Church and working with a sponsor and working the steps, and my life just began to fall in place. I was a hopeless, lost drug addict with no sense of purpose or direction or passion, and God has began to transform that life. And today, my life is better than I've ever imagined. Since that day in January 2018, I have graduated from college with a degree in ministry because God has given me that sense of purpose again. God has given me this sense of, hey, I want to help that person who is struggling just like I was. I want to go and seek out that lost person and introduce them to a relationship with Christ, because only He has that power to save other people. I've been blessed that I have an amazing wife. One thing I struggled with for so long was having relationships and relationships with females. I struggled because I didn't love myself. But now that I love myself and I have a relationship with Christ, who first loved me, I'm able to love my wife and provide for my wife and grow in relationship with her. God has given me a community of Christ-like-minded people through Recovery Church, through the 12 steps that don't just co-sign on some of the crap that I may want to do. They encourage me, they push me, they hold me accountable for the things, so I'm continuously growing in the eyes of my Creator. And I'm proud to say that I have a baby, my first child. We have our first child. It's going to be a baby girl coming in about a month. Like, that was never possible for somebody like me. That was never in the realm of possibility. And I'm just so blessed and honored to be able to sit here today, because I shouldn't be sitting here today. And we say for a long time that, like, oh, this is my story, but it's not my story at all. This is God's story. It's his story of redemption and restoration and finding freedom and purpose from an addiction. And I'm just so blessed and honored to have such a community and a recovery church today that, like, loves me for who I am, but doesn't let me stay there. Guys, if you're struggling still, please reach out. We are here to help you, and I'm here, and I'm always available for you. I love you guys, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.